Good to have you back. This is a science fiction film from the heyday of the genre. It has had 3 remakes but none better than the original, and is shot in dazzling black and white. It is Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956. The original story by Jack Finney appeared as a weekly serial that ran between November and December of 1954 in Collier's magazine. It was subsequently published as a novel in 1955. The adaptation was handled by Daniel Mainwaring, who, prior to his time as a screenwriter, was active as a private detective and journalist for the San Francisco Chronicle, before working in the publicity department of Warner Brothers and RKO between 1946 and 1950, where one of his earliest clients was Humphrey Bogart. Mainwaring made his mark as a writer with a string of hard-boiled mystery novels, mostly set in small-town California. His final published novel, Build My Gallows High, is generally regarded as his best, a story that he adapted under the pseudonym of Jeffrey Holmes into the 1947 film noir classic Out of the Past. By that time, Mainwaring had already begun to devote himself exclusively to screenwriting, first under the Holmes pseudonym and later under his real name. Other notable credits during this period included The Big Steal from 1949 and This Woman is Dangerous from 1952. One of his first important films bearing his real name was this film. Mainwaring's writing was notable for its immersive Americana and nostalgia for small-town life. Daniel had brushes with Hollywood's Red Scare witch hunts, which lends credence to the theory that the film takes a stand against McCarthyism. The lead actors, as well as the novel's author Jack Finney, deny that the story is a statement against McCarthyism or communism. Director Don Siegel believes that the political references to Senator Joseph McCarthy and totalitarianism are inescapable, though he intended this film as a psychological metaphor, not a political one. Rather bizarrely, the film has also been described as criticising the anti-communism movement. Siegel began his career as an editor and second-unit director. In 1945, he directed short films Hitler Lives and Star in the Night, which both won Academy Awards. He made his reputation in the early and mid-1950s with a series of tight, expertly crafted, tough but intelligent B-pictures, amongst them Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He then graduated to A-films in the 1960s and early 1970s. He had a long professional and personal relationship with Clint Eastwood, who has often said that everything he knows about filmmaking he learnt from Don Siegel. Invasion of the Body Snatchers was originally scheduled for a 24-day shoot on a budget of $455,000, but the studio asked for a significant cuts, resulting in a 20-day shoot and a budget of only $350,000. The cast and crew worked on a 6-day week with Sundays off, and with such a low budget and tight schedule, every scene had to be shot correctly the first time. The pace of the shoot meant that there was little time for the actors to rest between takes of exhausting chase sequences, and there was no time to discuss scenes. Dana Winter said that the actors were always responsible for mentally rehearsing their characters and actions before jumping in front of the cameras. The production did go over schedule by 3 days and slightly over budget because of the night-for-night shooting that Siegel wanted. Initially, Gig Young, Dick Powell, Joseph Cotton and Richard Kiley were considered for the role of Dr. Miles Bennell, while Anne Bancroft, Donna Reed, Kim Hunter, Vera Miles and others were considered for the role of Becky. The lower budget meant that the producers cast relative newcomers Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winter. Sam Peckinpah had a small role as Charlie, a meter reader, and while he claimed that he had done script work that ranged from modifications to major overhauls, those who worked on the film disputed this. Location filming in Mill Valley, just north of San Francisco, the town described in the novel, was scrapped as it was too expensive. Instead, Sierra Madre, Chatsworth, Glendale, Los Feliz, Bronson and Beechwood Canyons, locations near Los Angeles that resembled Mill Valley, were used, with the indoor locations shot in the Allied Artists Studio in East Hollywood. The greenhouse scene was also done in the studio because there were so many technical elements to be controlled when the pods burst open and bubbled, revealing the replicas of the characters. Production designer Ted Hayworth came up with a fairly simple and inexpensive idea for creating the pods. The most difficult part was when the pods burst open, revealing the likenesses of the actors. This required the actors to have naked impressions of themselves made out of thin, skin-tight latex. Making the casts, which involved being submerged in hot casting material with only a straw in their mouths to breathe through, was grueling for the actors. Only $15,000 of the budget was spent on special effects. The project was initially named The Body Snatchers, but changed its name to avoid confusion with the 1945 Val Lewton film The Body Snatcher. It went through numerous name changes, including They Come From Another World, Better Off Dead, Sleep No More, Evil in the Night, and World in Danger until the studio settled on Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The film was released in France under the title L'Invasion des Profondeurs des Sépultures, literally Invasion of the Defilers of Tombs, and the title remains unchanged today. The studio scheduled 3 previews and found audiences had trouble following the film and laughed in the wrong places. In response, the studio removed much of the film's humour, as it was their policy not to mix humour with horror. Another preview in mid-August did not go well either, so the studio demanded more changes. The original ending had Miles screaming as truckloads of pods passed him by. A prologue and epilogue were added, suggesting a more optimistic outcome and meaning that the story is told mainly in flashback. Siegel complained that the film was nearly ruined by the studio's changes. Originally shot in 1.85:1 aspect ratio, it was converted to Superscope, a post-production laboratory process that cut off the top and the bottom of the image so it could be projected in a ratio of 2:1. Siegel wasn't happy as he felt it caused the screen image to lose much of its sharpness. When the film was released domestically in February of 1956, many theatres displayed several pods made of paper mache in theatre lobbies and entrances, along with large, lifelike black and white cutouts of McCarthy and Winter, running away from a crowd of pod people. The film made more than $1 million in its first month, and in 1956 alone made more than $2.5 million in the US. When the British release, with cuts imposed by the British censors, took place in late 1956, the film earned more than $500,000 in ticket sales. In 1994, the film was selected for preservation in the US National Film Registry. It's included amongst the American Film Institute's list of top 100 most heart-pounding American movies. It is one of the 1001 movies you must see before you die. It's ranked number 9 on the American Film Institute's list of the 10 greatest sci-fi films, included amongst the American Film Institute's 1998 list of the 400 greatest American movies, and the 1978 remake, in which Kevin McCarthy reprises the role of Dr. Bennell. It is considered by some to be a better film, but in my opinion it's not. Despite a more high-profile cast, it lacks the same degree of tension, story flow and story logic as the original, and strays too close to the schlock horror genre in contrast to the 1956 original, which is more straight drama and science fiction. So reasons to watch this film, very simple. It's a really great story, very tense, very sharp, very well told, beautifully shot in black and white. Yet again, the original is the best. So what I'd suggest that you do is go to our website, find our virtual screenings page, find the link to this particular film, click on it and watch it, see what you think, and as always, we'd love you to come back and let us know your thoughts on this film and whether you recommend it for others. And then we'll see you back again in the not too distant future for our next classic films review. Catch you next time.